Hey, it's Endtime Watchman. I'm coming to you tonight. I want to make a quick video on something that I've been thinking about and researching and studying on. That if you'll listen to what this old boy is telling you, you'll know, whether you agree with what I'm saying, you'll know I'm telling you the truth. I'm going to title this video, Change You Can Bank On. Change that you can bank on. So, you know, I've thought about the bankers, I've thought about the politicians, I've thought about the preachers, I've thought about mortgage brokers, you know, I've thought about people investing in the stock market, I've thought about, you know, people running businesses, and I've thought about the tax codes, all this I've thought of, and I've digested and put it all together, and I'm going to give you a quick summation of what's going on and what could be going on. Okay, number one, the way the system's set up is that a small business owner will never get ahead or never win. Or a person that works for a big corporation, 96% of them never get ahead and they never win. Okay? Or if you'll notice, those that go to the church pew and sit on the pew, the everyday people that sit on the pew, they give and give and give, and what they get in return is maybe a new building or some nice projector screen that flips down that they can watch in convenience, or maybe a new air conditioner to go to, but they never get ahead. Okay? The people that borrow money from the bank never get ahead. The people that have a mortgage never get ahead. The small businessman never gets ahead because he's taxed to death. He has payroll, Social Security, all those different taxes he has. He has to buy permits. You know, he has to pay property tax on his business. And the tax goes on and on and on. You see? Now, the people that stay ahead are the politicians, which are the governors, senators, the presidents, the council on foreign relations, and, you know, and I could go list and list and list. But I really don't care to really give them any pulpit tonight because, you know, they get enough of that on their own. But the change you can bank on would be this. I want you to hear me out. If every American that is a patriot-believing and a Bible-believing American would just say, you know, I'm just through. I'm not going to do it anymore. I'm sick of being taxed to death on everything I do and everything I have because I don't own nothing. I rent everything. If you owned it, you wouldn't keep paying taxes on it. So the government tells you that if you don't buy the sticker to put on back of your vehicle every year, you can't drive the vehicle even though you bought it. You don't own it, in other words. You are just a pawn and a puppet and a renter for the government. You don't own anything. Well, in time, you're crazy. No, I want you to listen to me. Whether you hate my guts or whether you like me or whatever, I want you to listen to me for a minute of what I'm telling you. You do not own that vehicle. I don't care if you have the title and you've already paid the bank off. I don't care if you wrote a check. I don't care if you paid cash for it. You do not own it. If you owned it, you wouldn't have to continue to buy that friggin' sticker every year to put on it. You wouldn't have to continue to pay out of the rear end for friggin' insurance when you've never had a wreck, and if you do have a wreck, they counsel you. You don't own it. They own you. Let's move to a bigger fish than the vehicle. What's the biggest thing that most Americans are pay to own or want to think they own? That would be a house. Say you've got a $250,000 house. You pay on it for 30 years from the time you get out of high school. You think you're going to retire. But if you don't pay the taxes on that land, and by the way, if you put up a fence, the taxes increase. If you build a barn, the taxes increase. Property value, taxes. So in order for you to have anything of any value, the government says, you've got to pay me to have that thing through taxes, or guess what we're going to do? We're going to send a bunch of boot thug garbage, piece of garbage, no good cops and sheriffs out there to take it from you. And what I'm saying is, I'm not speaking against good law enforcement officers or military, never have. But if you can say that I'm just doing the law of the land, I've got to take this man's property because he didn't pay taxes to the God, small g God, by the way, the government. In all reality, if you don't pay the taxes, they send the people with the guns to take it from you. Then they sell it on the courthouse steps, and generally in small towns, there's an inside job there. Whoever wants it can have it. This is End Time Watchman tonight. I'm just being realistic. Let's give another example. There was a day back then when farmers could farm. They could put their seeds up. The next year they could take their seeds out of the barn and use them again. They make the friggin' seeds today where you can't use the seeds over. You got to go buy it from Monsanto or some friggin' body else. You don't own the farm, dude. Because if you don't depend on the seeds, the GMO seeds, genetically modified and altered seeds, if you say, I'm going to keep these for next year, it won't work because of the friggin' stuff put on them the way they've been altered. Therefore, you don't own your farm. And also, by the way, some farmers have to get government subsidies just to break even. And then some take advantage of it and use the welfare system. We won't go down that road. So the farmer don't own the farm, even though he may have it free and clear, and want to put his farm up as collateral to be able to furnish the next year's crop. When used to, farmers would farm free and clear from banks, and they would do good, and the community would help. Everything would just keep revolving around the community, not the government, not the banks. I am trying to make sense tonight to an America that's already dead. But I am trying to show you in realistic terms, taking my time, not shouting, not hollering, to show you that we're already homeless on the continent that our fathers and our forefathers conquered, that we could live free on, and yet we're not free. But the change you can bank on is this. You can bank on that the people could have rose up and we wouldn't be where we at today. You can bank on, and remember I said this in previous videos, every generation is going to blame the one before. So when you don't do nothing about it in this generation and you die on, and if God tarries, and I don't see how I can go another generation, the way things fit in the Bible, but I won't get into that right now. And you go to work and you be that slave, regardless if you own the business free and clear, you don't own it. Because if you don't pay the payroll taxes, Social Security, and you don't pay friggin' workman's comp if you're a contractor, never filed it, but it costs tons of money every friggin' year. Contractor liability, workman's comp, the list goes on of what you have to pay to somebody that don't, and I'm just backsliding. Move the kids out of here for a minute, okay? Get them out there for a minute, I'm backsliding. I told you I wasn't perfect. No, I won't do it. God restrain me. You pay the people that don't do crap. I was going to use a dirty word. You pay the money to people that don't do a friggin' thing for that money, except demand it from you. Okay? Some would argue and say, well, oh, this is good. It takes care of those that get hurt, this, that, and other. Look, give me a friggin' break. I mean, look, I guess the end justifies the means, I guess, is what your argument is out there. Well, I don't think so. Not when you tally it up and you percentage the money paid in versus the money paid out versus the what you get in return for it, you're getting screwed over. But you'll continue to be screwed over until the taxes come to 80 and 90% on some people. And until you pay into that Social Security that's been broke. They stole it a long time ago. By the way, it was supposed to have been a trust fund, but it's always been a tax. My mother does not draw what she paid in. And by the way, it pisses me off that she could work all her life and ain't got nothing to show for it because they taxed her to death. You don't have a mother? You don't have a daddy? That should have been a whole hell of a lot better off than they are, but because they were taxed to death, they were held back, strangled back by a small G God government that you bowed down to, and I used to bow to, but I won't bow to anymore. I'll be right back. Don't touch it. Don't you touch that dial. Don't you go nowhere. You ain't got no better to do than listen to me. I'll be back.